everyone. I'm Jody Schwan. I'm the owner of Sioux Falls Business, and it is great to be back with you for Talent Thursday. It's a new year. We've got a fabulous lineup of guests joining us in the coming weeks, and we have someone just absolutely fantastic to kick off our year. Maybe we call it a season. I don't know. We've probably arrived enough to call it a season. But this is all thanks to our partners and friends over at the Sioux Falls Development Foundation, led by Denise Gazzetta, Vice President of Talent and Workforce Development, who does such a good job managing a huge universe. Just a crazy, crazy role that she has to fill. And part of that is helping co-host Talent Thursday and determining our guests. So hi, Denise, welcome back. I know it's been a ridiculously busy start to the year for you too.
It's been a wonderful, busy start to the year. I mean, I look forward to every single new year because I have a new birthday, which, of course, I'm going to show you my pictures right there. And then we come and we do something like this, where we're coming back, we're going live with one of our very favorite programs. And today we're starting with one of our very favorite people. So win-win.
Yeah, so Brienne Maner is the executive director over at Startup Sioux Falls, and they're sort of a cousin organization to the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. I don't know what we would call it. We partner a lot in this community around economic development, and certainly the startup world is key in that. And Brienne, how long has it been for you in your role now? I tend to lose track of these things.
Almost 3 years. My anniversary is in May.
She and I, so this is funny, little inside story here. I don't remember why we were meeting, but we were meeting right before she went and had her, weren't we? Right before you interviewed for your job. I feel like I remember this.
That's right.
Yes. And I remember thinking that she would be such a good fit in this role. And then lo and behold, right, it ended up, I didn't even know she was interviewing, but she did. And so 3 years in, I feel like you get a pretty good lay of the land, and things have absolutely evolved. So as you kind of take stock of things and look toward the rest here of 2022, what does that startup universe look like? What kind of momentum are you experiencing?
Lots of momentum right now, I will tell you. And I feel like we have been just kind of sitting on all this exciting news for so long, and in some senses have been operating on assumptions, waiting for pieces to fall together. This is my first big opportunity to have this public-private partnership with the city, which has just been phenomenal. And that's really what propelled this thing forward, was getting that support, on top of all of the incredible work our board has done. So let's see, let's go back to the beginning of 2021. We just recently released our first ever annual report, which I am just thrilled about, that we have this piece of literature available for those that are like, what are they doing over there, and what kind of impact is this Startup Sioux Falls organization making? So that is available online, also hard copies. Thank you, Denise. But last year, looking back on it, it was wild what we accomplished. And it started with the implementation of this new Co-Starters Accelerator program to our community, which is a gap that we identified early on, in my tenure here. There was something missing for entrepreneurs that really helped connect and engage them to the process, and it, as you know, Jody, as someone who started a business in this community, it can be overwhelming. There are so many different points to entry and so many different things that you have to be knowledgeable about. And so the process, I think, is overwhelming for people to a point where they don't pursue their ventures. And that's something we really wanted to stop and say, what do we need to do to make this a little bit more accessible, more inclusive, so that this accelerator program has been phenomenal for us. We have already graduated about 50 businesses through this program. So we're very proud of that effort. And as part of that effort, we've been bringing in folks from throughout the community to be our facilitators, to come in and speak, and so it's been a really great opportunity to bring in the outside business community that really has wanted more interaction with startups. And through that process as well, we also launched a mentor network, which is the gift that you are received after you graduate Co-Starters, which I went through MB's Women's Leadership Program, and that was one of the greatest gifts I ever received, was a mentor. And our city is talking about it. It was a perfect fit at the right time for us to implement. We've grown our team. We're now a mighty staff of 5, getting a lot done. And then as the year progressed, we decided to go ahead and apply for a grant. And my board, I think, was like, what are you doing? We are in the midst of a relocation. You're going to apply for a grant, huh? And we thought, well, it's our first try. We'll go for it and see what happens. But it just so happens that this SBA Community Navigators grant perfectly aligns with our mission. And it's also helping to fill that gap of serving underserved communities where folks are coming to us, they don't speak English, they're not from here, there's these barriers, and we don't have the capacity to support them. So we wrote a grant and said we want to bring the Co-Starters program as well as all of our other resources to underserved communities across the state of South Dakota, including Pine Ridge, women, immigrants, and our rural community through Dakota Resources. And we got it. We got the grant. We have $1 million. We've got 2 years to burn the money. We've already brought on a program manager who's hit the ground running for us this year. So there's a lot of momentum as far as community building is concerned. I think we've never had this opportunity before to truly capitalize on all of these resources that are in abundance right now. So I'm really curious to see who's out there and who's interested and who we might find through the process, what kind of maybe unicorn businesses might come about through all of these efforts. So lots of excitement in the year ahead.
Congratulations. Nobody gets the grant on the first try. They do. $1 million. Yeah, it's huge.
Take it.
And, we're talking about talent, Denise, but Brienne and her organization fit a really interesting part of the talent sort of pipeline ecosystem, because a lot of times we bring people into this community for one job, but they aspire to entrepreneurship, maybe as I eventually did, right? So we need to have those resources, and ultimately they become job creators.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If I may, one of the statistics earlier, so I was on a Department of Education for South Dakota webinar, and I gave them the statistic, and I got so many calls afterwards. In 2021, there was $347 billion that was created by entrepreneurs. And so you think about the gig economy, and you think about all of these startups. That's why it's so important, because we do know that younger generations, when they think about the ties between community, career, cause, they want it all. And a lot of them will take what they learn and then they will feed it back into this ecosystem that Brienne is developing. And that's what's incredible.
Yep. Denise and I partnered on a survey at the beginning of the year where we looked at all kinds of things about how you're working and living and feeling about everything from childcare to stress. And we thank the hundreds of you who responded to that. And one of the questions was about entrepreneurship. And I had this sense that we had more entrepreneurs, but it was amazing to me how many, now granted, we reach a business audience, right? But 17% of people in our survey said that they were thinking about starting a business. That's a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's such an opportunity for us. And I'm so appreciative that you shared that nugget of knowledge with us. So we truly know that we are making a difference here, making headway.
And I think what's different now, and I give you and your team so much credit for this, but I love to tell the story. When I started my business, I walked into then Zeal because I knew I needed help. I knew there were things I didn't know, but fortunately, because I covered business news in this community, I also knew that Zeal was there and what they did.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't, and more people know now. And I see this happening where it's a step in your decision making as an entrepreneur. I've got my idea, I'm talking to my family and my friends about it, and then I'm going to go connect with Startup Sioux Falls. I mean, how often do you have people walking in the door or reaching out online, wanting to know what you can do for them?
It just continues to ramp up. And again, like you said, the more that we put ourselves out there and tell the story, which I appreciate the platforms in which we've been able to do that through your channels, as well as, today doing this Facebook Live, that's inherently something that I know how to do. It was intimidating coming into this industry because I'm like, I'm not an entrepreneur. What am I going to bring to the table? But honestly, what it takes is just continuing to beat the drum of the message. And letting people know and making it as easy as possible for people to get what they need. So rebranding ourselves from Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship to Startup Sioux Falls and saying If you want to start a business, start with Startup Sioux Falls. Again, we're just trying to make it easier for people, and it's working. It's literally working. We're getting people walking in, but more than that, we're getting a lot of inquiries through, like, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys feel this way or not, but LinkedIn is the place to be right now. I get so many inquiries, so many hits. We also have a live chat on our website where people are setting up what we're calling wayfinding meetings. So this is, again, like a little toe dip for people that are like, I don't know, I'm not sure, but can I talk to somebody? And we've got Peter Hauk on our team as our community manager. And there's not a nicer guy that you could possibly talk to about business. He's actually starting a venture himself. He drank the Kool-Aid, and now he's in the process of ramping up his business called Rink Rabbit, which makes bags for ice skating ice skaters. So his wife is a professional ice skater. So he's got this niche market, but he's learning a lot through the process, and it's really bode well for him as he's meeting with these folks. And it's not just him, it's all of us, different points of entry, depending on what kind of contacts you have. Again, I'm out there telling the story. We've got Sarah Lum on our team, who's got a whole different quadrant of connections. And again, we're trying to diversify that pipeline and working with different communities. And these underserved communities are so integral to the process. We keep talking about how our school district, 40% of the students don't speak English. So we've got some work to do there as far as diversifying that network and finding all of those folks that need support. But it's never been busier. I can tell you that. We're staying plenty busy, and we continue to see interest in this accelerator program. And we have like a waiting list of folks that have applied and are going to apply again because they couldn't get in the first time. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled with the outcome so far.
The other bonus is she just keeps creating a pipeline of business features for me. At some point, we're going to do that Rink Rabbit.
Hey, you're welcome.
We got to figure out when Peter's ready. That the team is just great over there. I feel like they have gelled so well, and the skill sets are just so complementary.
It's good stuff.
One of the things, though, as you're talking about, and this has been kind of cultivating, and I think this is where the timing is really ripe.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of people that are younger generations that are going to be natural innovators. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We know this. I mean, all the published studies, whether it's Pew Research Center or Deloitte Human Capital, they're talking about this. And I love the fact that you're coming alongside of them and giving them that opportunity, especially in high school. And you think about what we're doing with our career connections, Jody. A lot of these kids, we start really, having more in-depth conversations about, okay, what's next after high school? What are you going to do? Eventually, they say they want to run their own business, which is why Startup Sioux Falls is so incredibly popular as we an organization. So, but you guys.
And I think the thing to mention here is Brienne and her team continue to evolve too, is that we all know, and this is critically important for Denise's businesses that she serves, this need for people who are entrepreneurial in their thinking to be part of existing organizations. And I feel like, Brienne, that's a growth area maybe for Startup Sioux Falls, but probably something that you can offer already, where you can work with existing businesses that are trying to cultivate that sense of entrepreneurship in their organization.
Correct. And we're trying to build up, now we have the opportunity to build an alumni network, which is something that we've never had. We have all of these amazing graduates that have incubated out of the facility, but the relationships have been a little bit disjointed over time. But notably, we've had DocuTap, Meta Payment Systems, these really big businesses that have something to give back. And that's something that we're trying to cultivate as well. You've been through this process. Please come back into the fold and help give back to the next generation of entrepreneurs. And Denise and her team are doing a phenomenal job of this as well. And again, like you said, it starts with the youth. And I think back to the Win in the Workforce event that I attended, and you had the high school students sitting at the tables, which I loved. And I immediately just connected with those folks. And they actually, a couple of them took me out into the hallway and helped me record my very first TikTok video. So I have something to learn from them as well. So it's a very beneficial relationship on both sides. And it just goes back to that power of mentorship, right? Like I probably get more out of mentoring than I do giving. I just learn something new from every individual that I meet. And I'm just so open to that idea. Because the next generation, my daughter is 4. So I think a lot about her as part of this process and making sure that she's got what she needs to really thrive in the community moving forward as well. So it does. It starts with the kids, and the more interaction we can have with those youth, it would be really phenomenal. So I gotta get on TikTok.
And you can teach me.
Yeah.
Well, we can all help each other, but that's the wonderful thing. And so we do not say this. Now, this is going to go to a very broad audience because we use this. We're live on Facebook, but then we repurpose it through Handshake. One of the things I will tell everyone, and I know you guys will be in agreement, that we are really cohesive and connected. I mean, that's really truly the Sioux Falls advantage. And we talk about that, but then you can kind of see it. And as I'm listening to your story and I'm thinking about, you're taking on different roles in our community too, to help, bring some new and infuse some new energy into some areas. Like, for example, the task force to, look at innovation in downtown. Yeah. Incredible. It's just incredible. So
it's all coming for full circle, I tell you.
Well, we should talk about downtown because we haven't yet. I mean, we've sort of hinted around the edges here, but there's a big move happening this year for Startup Sioux Falls, and they've already gotten this rolling. Where are we at with the new location? What's next? What's the timeline?
Well, apparently we're on the hook for utilities starting March 1st. I just learned that the other day. So it's real, you guys. This is happening. And I'm just thrilled because I feel like it was early on in my time at Zeal that I think I met with the mayor, and he had mentioned it casually, like, well, have you considered this or the Parks building? And I was like, the Parks building isn't big enough. And this was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic hits. And I think we all were just a little bit jolted into this new idea of what remote work can really do for a community and how it changes the game when it comes to physical space. And that's something our organization has struggled with over time. Like, it's great that we have this 45,000 square foot facility and we're able to incubate businesses, but it kind of takes us away from the mission at times. So for us to relocate and downsize and really focus on the community itself and building this place that you can come plug in, work, a kind of a work refuge, if you will, from Josiah's in Queen City, where it's a lot of networking, and also just, cultivate this new entrepreneurial community that's starting to bud up. This is such a fantastic opportunity for us to be in a high traffic, high visibility location at 6th and Phillips, across the street from a whole group of entrepreneurs that are in the Jones building. We couldn't have gotten a better location and a better opportunity to really reimagine what an entrepreneurial ecosystem looks like in our city that isn't so dependent on physical space, because I really truly believe that's what's gotten former co-working spaces into a bit of trouble, where they were so focused on the physical space. You tend to forget about the cultivation of the community, the revenue generation that comes with that. You have to have some sort of business model to go with it, but truly it comes down to the folks that you're trying to serve, and we need to be more accessible. And therefore, I know we need to be downtown. I've probably known that since I started, and I'm biased because I worked for downtown Sioux Falls for 8 years, and I watched it grow and blossom. But that's where all the activity is, and we need to be a part of that. And I'm so thrilled to come full circle and now become, a building owner per se, and a downtown member. I can't wait to see it through a different lens because I've come full circle in the process.
So as you mentioned, you'll be able to go work there if you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring one, but there will be a lot of opportunity for the community to engage too. So what other parts of that facility will be included?
So part of our design process has been to consider an event space where we can host 1 million cups, which is our weekly networking event, and just bring folks in for different opportunities. I see that as a really dynamic opportunity to bring in the community in general. I think our relationship, our partnership with the city and all of our other economic development partners are only going to bode well for think tank style conversations. Denise obviously is an expert in workforce development. So having her at our fingertips and just, a few blocks away is going to be huge. Bringing somebody like Mike Grigsby in, who's the head of innovation at the city of Sioux Falls, who has big ideas as to how to innovate our city and solve problems using an innovative mindset. I see a lot of opportunity there for the community to really engage. with us. In addition to that, we will have several conference rooms available that people, that maybe aren't a member, that don't need that co-working space day to day, can come in and utilize on a case by case basis. So it's a beautiful location. It's, there's going to be some really great design involved. We're really excited about what we've put together so far, and we're hoping to be open by January 2023. That's my guess, just knowing what I know about the industry and where we're at with supply chain and workforce. Denise, if you can work on that for me, that'd be great. But yeah, it truly, we're looking to activate that corner as well. And we are going to be neighbors to the Levitt Pavilion. So I think there's going to be a lot of great synergy with that group. And just a lot of opportunity for us to activate the space and really be a part of that connectivity from Phillips to the Falls, which is kind of almost complete at this point, but there's still an ice ribbon to come and some other things. But I think having something on that corner and having all of that activity is only going to bode well for what's to come with all of the rest of the development in that quadrant of downtown.
Absolutely. It's exciting.
Food trucks as well.
I do think there's a lot of synergy in your world with what they're doing too, don't you, Denise?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at, again, we talked about this, the generational push here. And then we talked about the fact that as we get more and more, we start uncovering, we're finding the proof sources, within these kids that we're talking to. I even think about the Your Future STEM events that we do, and thinking about sort of all the innovation. I mean, we have a lot of leaders here where they innovate every day. And so I just think the timing is right. I love when I listen to Mayor Paulton Hagen, and he's talking about his plans for bringing more technology companies here. The fact that we just got, that commitment by Dakota State University to build that cybersecurity, that's huge. So this is the place to be. We talk about this. We have great leadership. We are really kind of, making our ink on that map. But the cohesiveness, that really is something that when you're building an ecosystem and you're getting things off the ground, that becomes very important. And that's where you're going to find success. So,
one thing we typically do during Talent Thursday, which I haven't done yet, and that's on me because I know Brienne pretty well, but we actually like to talk about our guests' own stories, your own career path here. And Denise and we're going to start a new series. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but whatever. Where we literally do talk to people about how they got where they're at, because I think there's so much interest in that. And when you come to a community, you want to know there's a path for you and that you don't need to stay with the same job or the same employer your entire career. That is so important. So tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got where you are.
Well, I'm a Sioux Falls girl, graduated high school here, went off to school in Minnesota, and ended up staying up there for a few years because my parents relocated. So ended up getting a job with Sesame Street Live in Minneapolis. V Corporation is what it's called. And it felt, I was like, what? Okay, cool. It felt like a dream job at the time.
What did you go to school for?
Marketing and PR. So and apparently I beat out like 400 applications for the job. So
my goodness.
I don't know what it was about my resume, but I'll take it. It was fun. It was a really fun time for me. And I'm so glad that I got the perspective of the big city life. I had to commute every day. I had to pay for parking. I worked out of downtown Minneapolis. So I got that urban experience. And it was great, but I always was missing home. Like Sioux Falls has always felt like home to me. So I ended up moving back after a few years. It turns out Sesame Street Live isn't very lucrative, and I was spending a lot of money on going out, shopping. It was just, there was a lot at my fingertips. And for someone who didn't have that much of a budget, it wasn't working very well for me. So I really wanted to come home. So I came home, took a job to come home, and then found a job on the DTSF website at a place called Electric Pulp, which I was like, what is this magic? What does this mean? Web development agency, which at the time, back in 2004, web development was a new concept, and I was just very interested and intrigued. Ended up getting the job. And on my first day, it was Paul Tenhaken's last day on the job. So he trained me for a half a day, got me acclimated. And he's been in my orbit for like 15 years. And then eventually just landed, I was a longtime volunteer for the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society's Jazz Fest. And I always thought if there was ever a position that opened there, I would be very interested, and ended up getting a marketing position there in about 2009, that would have been. And I got to work downtown again. So that was really fun for me to come back down, be a part of this huge festival that also had an educational component, concert series, and really got my chops working with community development, the parks department, getting some of that city activity, volunteer recruitment, all of that sort of thing. And then connected with the president of DTSF because we worked on a concert series down at the brand new Riverfront Greenway. So we did some jazz on the riverfront. He really liked my work. We stayed in touch. A position opened at DTSF, which I was like, holy cow, I've made it. Like, this is it. Like, this is my dream job. Put like 7 years of heart and soul into downtown Sioux Falls, which when I started, it wasn't great. Like, we were on the cusp, but there were a lot of frustrated businesses. There wasn't a lot of activity happening at the time. And then all of a sudden, like, things just started to blow up. So I got to be there for that like resurgence, if you will. And it was already happening, but for like the really big stuff that started to occur, I just really loved supporting the small business community, all these new retailers that were coming in, that just needed support. They needed somewhere to plug in. And I really found my purpose and my passion in that role. And fast forward, I saw there was a job opening at Zeal for an executive director, and I immediately counted myself out because I said, I'm not an entrepreneur. This isn't for me. But I was really looking for something else. Like, I wanted that next level up. I want to be an executive director. I want to be in charge. Carla Santi with Blend Interactive, who's a friend of mine, pulled me for coffee, and she's like, why aren't you applying for this job? And I was like, but Carla, I'm not an entrepreneur. And she said, what do you think you've been doing for the last 7 years at downtown?
So true.
You've been supporting small businesses. They're entrepreneurs. This is something that you should definitely apply for. So I just needed that little extra nudge. And so glad that I did, because here I am 3 years later, thriving in this role that I never would have imagined for myself. And I think, and I don't want to just peg it on women, but as women, I think we do count ourselves out sometimes because we don't check all the boxes. And I'm here to say, don't worry about that. If it's something you're passionate about, like, you shouldn't go apply for a job that you have like no business applying for. But if you check some of the boxes and it feels right, go make some connections and see where it might take you, because you might be pleasantly surprised. So here I am. And all I want to do now is give back. Like, I've had this incredible journey, and I've had so many people help me along the way. And I want to do the same for the next generation coming up. So I really am passionate about mentoring and, giving people that insight, and hopefully quicker, so they don't make the same mistakes I did. Right. But yeah, I'm just really proud of how far I've come, and really proud of this organization that I'm running, for the very first time.
Well, you should be. It is a wonderful story. And look at the opportunities that you've had in this community. Yeah. That's what I love to lift up. I got to give a shout out to Carla, though. She's on Denise's board too.
She's amazing.
Has, made such an impact on so many people and in so many areas of this community.
Yep.
But that's what we do, as Denise said. We help each other out, and
it's amazing. It's one of the most special things about Sioux Falls. We're so interconnected here. It's probably, I don't know if it's intimidating coming from the outside. I'm glad that people like Brienne and Israel have started a business to specifically help acclimate new people to Sioux Falls, because I can't even imagine. I've been here most of my life. I'm going to be one of those little old ladies that sits around the table at Hy-Vee on Sunday morning and tells this, I can't wait until I've made it that far where I'm in the Red Hat Society.
Telling us where the cornfields used to be, right?
Yep. And I channel Carol Pagonis a lot. Like, she is someone that I have always, had the opportunity to connect with a few times, and I've always looked up to, and I got to attend her celebration of life a few months ago. weeks, I think. I can't remember anymore, but it was so incredible to see the impact one woman had on this community and how many different people she really truly touched. Didn't matter if you were Republican, Democrat, wherever you came from. Like there were so many people in that room that loved her, and she was bold and unapologetic. But she just had this knack for bringing people together, and I carry that passion and spirit in my heart every single day. She's a real, yeah, something else.
Yeah, we all stand on the shoulders of people like Carol,
Yep.
who have come
Yep.
before us in this community, and we're lucky that we get to form those relationships cross-generationally. That's still happening. And we have such wonderful people to learn from. I want to note that for Denise's viewers who are watching this from other cities, who are considering Sioux Falls, and that happens with Talent Thursday, that this is real, that we have these kind of networks that you can tap into this. You don't have to feel like just because you have no idea where Sioux Falls is right now, or you've never been here. That was me one time. That was Denise one time. But you can get connected, right, ladies?
It's really easy to get connected.
It is. And we always talk about the fact that it's interesting because we use the word home. It feels very natural and very familiar. Although some of us, and there's a lot more of us that are joining this wonderful community, this is not really where we were born. And so it's nice to have that feeling of connectivity because that really driving that human connection is really powerful. And my husband and I, with our two little girls, they're now 14, so soon to be 4. I know it's hard. I
met one of them. She's not that little. She's about 3 height.
Yeah.
I tell you.
But it's like that's exactly, we are building this long term so that it is the way that we're giving back to the people that are coming, those generations behind us, and making sure that they have the wonderful opportunities. And what a great thing to be part of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we come to work every day and we love everything we're doing because that's really what you can have here. So that excitement, as well as a great career where you can do what Dave Doxtel and some of these people have done, and that is have amazing career journeys. So
Great,
Absolutely.
for sure. Well, I don't want to put another thing on Brienne's plate, but since you said you love mentoring so much, if anyone is watching this and just wants to connect with you, Brienne, or really with Startup Sioux Falls and everything you guys have to offer, what should they do?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at brienne@startupsiouxfalls.com.
BRIENNE at startupsiouxfalls.com.
Watch
And
that
just
inbox fill up.
startupsiouxfalls.com in general is a
Yes.
great resource, guys. So
Absolutely.
everything you need is there. Do that live chat. Peter will talk to you, right? Isn't Peter the person?
Peter's the guy. He'll pop up on the screen.
That's great. I love it. Denise, anything else before we go? We've got a great Talent Thursday lineup ahead. So we're going to be back with you now. Get that in your rotation and plan to tune in.
yeah, so we are back, officially back. We always like to launch in February. And so this was a great kickoff. So no, thank you to Brienne for everything that she's doing. And Jody, thank you to everything that you do to help, tell our story really the best light that we could tell it in. So thank you.
Congrats on almost 5 years in business there, Jody.
Gosh.
That's amazing. I'm excited.
Plan. That's crazy to think that.
And we're having Founders Day on March 2nd, where Jody is going to be one of our panel speakers at the Founders Forum. So I'm excited to hear. You never get to tell your story, so it's your opportunity to.
You guys sent the reminder out. Founders Day is March 2nd, right?
2nd.
And I knew I had agreed to go, and then I couldn't remember if I was supposed to ask the questions or answer them.
No,
and
I'm
when
gonna
I
do
thought
it.
Brienne is asking them, I was like, great, no prep. I just show up and talk. Perfect. So yeah,
Isn't that nice?
It'll be fun.
Love it.
All right.
Thank you
guys.
for the opportunity.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Share this video with your friends. If you know anyone who's a potential entrepreneur or interested in learning more about Sioux Falls, please let them know what's going on here. Let them hear directly from Brienne too. And then come back next Thursday. We'll see you for another edition of Talent Thursday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.